visible. It could colonize the universe. It could convert all the molecules into computronium, or it could become a planetary overlord, which I think that's probably in the cards to some degree or another.
Yeah, for a while, it gets to a point where it doesn't need slaves.
Right, and there's another consideration of whether the first AGI should be created after we master nanotechnology or before we master nanotechnology. There's arguments on either side, because if we wait until after humans master nanotechnology will be available to the AGI, and no telling what it would do with form, intelligence, and everything like that. But yeah, there's a lot of black box artifacts out there going into these robotics that nobody understands. And one of the dangers of creating an AGI with black box technologies is that nobody will comprehend at all what its motivations or operational practices would be. There's already AIs that are talking to each other in a computer language that we don't understand and inventing new computers and new electronic devices. And one of the weird things about the electronic devices that artificial intelligence is coming up with is there's a lot of redundancy in there, parts that don't seem to do anything. Sort of like you've heard of junk DNA, in humans, but the redundancy in parts is kind of puzzling of why the AIs are creating such devices. But if you think about it, in 1997, the best computer that we had was like a compact Presario that cost me $3,300 as a college student. And it could beat a world champion chess player. And you fast forward 20 years, just 2 decades, and we've got quantum computers making calculations between parallel worlds. And we've had help. I don't really believe that there's human beings that are intelligent enough to progress from a chess playing program to D-wave quantum computers without some intervention. So that correlates with what Stan Deo and others are saying about their testimony that ETs are actually working with top-level scientists and top-level military people. So there very well may be a human population running around that's well aware of humanoid extraterrestrials. I don't know if they're aware of exactly where they come from. They may keep that information themselves. But traveling around this universe may be more feasible than what we think. Michio Kaku talks about hyperspace, sliding into hyperspace where there's no time and stuff. So who knows what technologies will be developed between now and the coming technological singularity. But getting back to what Whitley Strieber said about people not understanding the gulf that exists between our world and theirs, they've been trying to interact with humanoids for thousands of years now. What used to be called divine inspiration is now called channeling. The only difference in the old days, if you made a prediction and said it was from divine inspiration and that prophecy didn't turn out, you were stoned to death. So gladly, we don't do that anymore. But there's thousands and thousands of pages of channeled material that people are getting from various ultra-terrestrials or non-physical beings that no one will ever even read. Like Keel says, there's a silent contactee phenomena going on. There's millions of people that have had contact with non-human intelligence, and what they're getting from the intelligence that they're in touch with coordinates with one another. And he found that really strange, that he could get phone calls from people all over the world that were his group of silent contactees, and they'd tell him the same dadgum thing.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, hey, Russell, again, before I let you go here, where can they find your book?
Okay, the book is Overlords of the Singularity, The Manipulation of Humankind by Hidden UFO Intelligences and the Quest for Transcendence. I know that's a long subtitle, but if you just plug into Amazon my name, Russ Brinegar, or Overlords of the Singularity, it'll pop up. It's got really catchy cover. I had the cover designed by a graphic artist. It's kind of sci-fi looking, which I like. But it's available in Kindle with Whisper Sync technology, where you can actually have the book read to you in the mechanical voice on your Kindle, or it's a 545-page printed volume as well. And it's getting good customer reviews, and I feel like the book is going into the right hands because I've had a lot of people private message me on Facebook that are PhD-level people who says the book is spot on, and it coordinates with what they've been into for decades. So I'm real happy about the outcome of the book. I've been invited to speak live at 2 conventions now, and I've enjoyed that. This April, I'm going to the Human Origins Conference in New Mexico, and I'll get to meet Travis Walton and Andrew Collins and all kinds of really interesting characters. So, yeah, but the book's on Amazon. I don't mean to take up a lot of time here, but it's Amazon.com, Overlords of the Singularity.
Well, sir, till next time you're on, I want you to have a great weekend that's coming up, and I want you to stay out of trouble. Make sure those bookcases are secured on the wall, because you don't want them coming crashing down. My friend, you have a great weekend that's coming up.
You too, Gary.
Okay, you take care.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, James.
Yes, sir. Hey, you know what happened?
I know what happened. It did it again, didn't it?
Right on cue at 12:38 my time. Boom. Every time. There's something up with that, Gary.
I would get a hold of your internet provider and ask them what's going on and tell them that you're on Skype and it's happening between, a 15-minute window every night now. Yeah,
that is weird. It's every night. I don't know what to think about that. Maybe they didn't want me to hear something for about a minute.
Yeah, but you weren't talking. So, I mean, I don't understand why they would just do it to you. But, anything's possible, but they're not doing it to me.
I know. And I'm curious, too, when Timothy comes back on, what the experiment's going to show.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. He's going to be on a different phone in a different location, so that'll tell us right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because that's going to, he's been on several times, and actually I know for sure the last 3 times there's always been some kind of issues, and we've talked about it. It's like, what's going on there?
Well, yeah, it's like they don't want us to talk to them.
Yeah, and it always came about when we was talking about implants, or do you think certain key words or trigger words or buzzwords or something, and it would just static up and he'd fade out and he'd come back. And that was weird because he was on a landline that one time, so there should have been no excuse for that.
Yeah, we actually switched over because the landline started doing it, then the cell phone was doing it. We went back to the landline, back to the cell phone. It was crazy.
It was. And it wouldn't take much of it, but however, like I said, there was 2 other previous shows that had the same kind of pattern of that phone going in and out. And a lot like, that one show you had last summer, I can't remember who the guest name was, but he had seen them black helicopters out on the farm there. Yeah,
and he was on my show, and he actually saw that when he was on my show, we took a break, and he went out to smoke, and there was a helicopter over his house. There it was. No markings, no nothing. And then I think a day or 2 later, he was on another radio show, and he started texting me, and he sent me pictures of that night when he was on my show of the helicopter, just right over his house. And then when he was on this other show, the same thing happened. He was talking the same subject. Half an hour later, he goes out to smoke during their break. There's a helicopter again, no markings. So what's that tell you?
Yeah, that tells you there's something going on. I was talking to somebody today that they was freaked out because they were talking about something, about buying something. It reminded me of you, and the next thing they knew, about 20 minutes later, they got a call from somebody soliciting whatever, I forget what it was, they was thinking about buying. And, did their smart TV hear this? Did their telephone pick up this information? Because it was weird, the synchronicity of it.
Well, it's already been out that Google got busted. They said, it was just because we're checking quality control. So you know what? How would they be accessing your microphone on your cell phone or on your laptop? What gives them the right to do that?
Exactly. That is good point, because here's the thing. 300 plus Americans aren't a national threat. I mean, come on, let's be serious. We'd be lucky if 1% of us are. So that doesn't give them the right to tune in and listen to you or get your information.
And again, Whitney tonight, I tell you, when I send this book to you, it'll be about a week before I do, because I want to finish it. But I tell you what, A New World. I tell you, I'm at, it doesn't have a lot of pages. I'm on page 38. It has, let's see how many pages, 194 pages to it. It's not a big, It's not a big book, but what he's saying, it makes a lot of sense. And again, this is, if Terry Lovelace is listening, or, listen either by live or a replay. In fact, I'm going to, send him a message that he needs to listen to this show, that maybe that might answer some of his weird things that's been going on in his life too. I think they're very subtly trying to make contact with these people with implants, but they just don't know how to do it. Maybe we're too stupid, and they're talking at a level we don't even understand, or they just can't understand us enough to communicate with us. Like if we're sitting there trying to talk to an ant.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good point. Yeah, and totally. And I forgot all about, because I read the Communion, and it's been years ago since I should reread it, but he had talked about in that book how he thought the aliens came off to him, or whatever they are, as owls. And I've come across several different cases throughout the years that several people have said or thought the same thing, that they seen these entities and they thought they were owls instead of what they really were. And you've even talked about it before with, I think, one of the persons you had on an interview.
Yeah, a guest. He was a game warden, and he was abducted. And then after his abduction, everywhere he went out in the field, out in the forest and all that stuff, doing his job, he would see owls, which he never saw before. And he just thought it was maybe something enlightening or whatever. He didn't tie it in with the abduction. I mentioned to him, I said, hey, look, they may be implanted in your brain. When you see something that is alien, you see owls in its place. Because, it's not common to go everywhere and see owls. Even in the woods, it's not going to happen. So, it makes me wonder if that's true. How many aliens are walking on our planet right now as I'm talking?
I am telling you, because I'm talking from since I read that and started really getting into researching, and even before that, there's been so many different cases of people have been abducted that has a relation with seeing owls. That's really the aliens, but they're owls. And then I remember last summer when you said you started hearing a bunch of owls outside, because owls are rare, man.
No, we have owls here. Seriously, we physically have owls here.
Yeah, I just remember when you told me, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, well, maybe. Guess what? It's time to say goodbye till tomorrow night.
Yes, and do not hit anything else with your 9-iron tonight or tomorrow.
I don't have a 9-iron. That's a joke. But it makes me feel like I should have one. But you know what? I'd probably get mad and throw the 9-iron against the wall or something.
Yeah, and you end up hitting one of those figures you got over there.
Well, it's been a cracking good show today, I can tell you that much.
Yes, it has. Whitley Strieber was on. Listen, that guy is mind-blowing, his stuff.
Guess who's on tomorrow? Calvin Parker.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you've had some really home run hitters on this week, buddy.
Irina Scott. After.
Oh, sweet. She only lives a few miles up the road from me.
Well, you should go up there and say hi. Give her a jar of honey and who knows? I don't know. Anyway, we got to go. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow. Make sure you look at our website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com and check out the store while you're checking out the web. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.